Hello and welcome back to KXAM Plus. I am your host, Esmeralda Zamora, and we have another live stream right now with one of our interns, our political intern, Ford McCracken, who is going to give us a brief discussion about his article that he has published on our website, kxan.com. Ford, thanks for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
So this article is really popular right now on the KXAN website, and it has to do with the quorum break and more details to follow. Give us a little recap of what your article is about.
Yeah, so in case you haven't been following, there's a quorum break happening here in Texas over proposed congressional redistricting. So a lot of Democrats, enough to break quorum, have left the state, meaning the legislature cannot vote on these maps. Democrats are still gone, but trying to retaliate against them are the Republicans. They're trying to use any measure they can to bring them home. And actually, what I wrote about yesterday is that this has sort of become a proxy war for the U.S. Senate primary on the Republican side here in Texas between the incumbent Senator John Cornyn, who has been in the Senate since 2003, and the Attorney General of the state, Ken Paxton. Ken Paxton's trying to challenge Cornyn, and he is so far leading in pretty much every poll of the race. But Cornyn is trying to prove that he is, conservative enough. He's pro-Trump enough. So they're really fighting over who can hit Democrats the hardest. I think the difference is that I wrote about yesterday is that Paxton really has the authority to be filing all of these lawsuits, whereas Cornyn is kind of going after Paxton for the small details, the fact that he was out of the country, and going after him on Twitter.
Well, and you mentioned the discussion between Paxton and Cornyn, and it's heating up pretty quickly. What are some of the things that they are either saying to each other online that you've been reading on Twitter? We can share some of those tweets as well.
Yeah, so they've been going after each other online. It sort of started when the governor in the state, Greg Abbott, filed a lawsuit to remove Gene Wu, who is a representative. He leads the Democratic caucus in the House. Governor Abbott tried to remove Wu from office. Paxton then argued that Abbott did not really have the authority to do that, and only the Attorney General did. So Cornyn went after Paxton, basically saying, no, the governor does have the authority. He filed an amicus letter, which is, you file this petition in the court to support someone's argument. So Abbott filed this with the Texas Supreme Court. Cornyn filed a letter also with the court in support of Abbott, basically saying that the Attorney General should stay out of this, and Abbott does have the authority. It was remarkable because it was only about a 5-paragraph letter, and the largest paragraph in that letter Cornyn spent attacking Paxton. And then on Twitter, they've kind of been going after each other. Cornyn mainly going after Paxton because of the quorum break, but also trying to get involved himself. He asked the FBI to come in and help locate Democrats. Paxton then said the FBI doesn't really have the authority to do that because it's a state matter. Cornyn's using that as an excuse to say that Paxton's not conservative enough and doesn't actually care about stopping the Democrats. I think the other thing here to focus on is that Paxton was vacationing in Scotland. Cornyn used that as a point to say, how can you be calling out the Democrats for breaking quorum when you're also on vacation? They've been trading insults back and forth. I think Paxton's tweets have mainly been focused on Cornyn more generally, whereas Cornyn's tweets have been focused on Paxton's role in this quorum break. And Cornyn has tweeted at Paxton a total of 16 times as of yesterday. Paxton's tweeted about 19 times as of yesterday. So they're really just trading insults back and forth.
Wow. And what do you think this is going to lead to?
It's hard to say. I think when you look at the two, you look at every poll of this race, right? And Paxton even said it himself in one of his tweets yesterday. He cited a poll that showed him, I think, 13 or 14 points ahead of Cornyn in this primary and said, this is why John Cornyn's attacking me, because he's losing. And it's true that Paxton has led in every single poll of this race, sometimes by 20 points or more. This primary is surprisingly less competitive than one may think because Cornyn is the incumbent and should have the name recognition. Paxton, meanwhile, is surrounded by scandals. But really, Paxton launched this campaign to say, Cornyn, you're not pro-Trump enough. And Cornyn has really moved toward the right, toward the president, trying to show that he is pro-Trump enough. It's hard to say what this will lead to. We're still several months away from this primary, but at the moment, we're not seeing any movement in the polls, really. Cornyn has really tied himself to the president, and it doesn't seem to be narrowing that gap anymore. And so you have to look at this race and say Paxton's probably the favorite.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit earlier during that answer that Paxton was involved in a lot of scandals. It seems to be that all of those scandals are resurfacing throughout this time. Why do you think that that's something that they are pointing at during this moment?
Yeah, the Cornyn campaign really wants voters to pay attention to Paxton's scandals. I think the problem with that is that Paxton scandals voters have been paying attention to for years. He's already run for re-election with these scandals. Paxton's been under federal investigation. He was impeached by the Republican-controlled House in 2023, ultimately acquitted by the Senate. He had high-profile affairs with his wife, who was a sitting senator, still is a sitting senator, Senator Angela Paxton. She filed for divorce from Ken Paxton just last month, and that was another headline-making story. The problem is that Cornyn wants these headlines to show up and then voters change their minds. These headlines are already very public. People know about Paxton's scandals, and so far it hasn't turned their support away from him, at least on the Republican side. When you look at a Texas Politics Project poll from June, they did favorability ratings of both Cornyn and Paxton, and they found that Paxton actually had a higher favorability rating than Cornyn among the entire Texas electorate. Both had low favorability. It was 29% and 23%. So those are not good numbers for either of them. But ultimately, if you're the Cornyn campaign and you're trying to point out these scandals that are already very public, you may not see much room for Paxton to really fall because he's already at a low approval rating, but it's still higher than Cornyn's.
Yeah. So you completed this article on our website, and it's getting a lot of views right now. What is something that is in the article that you want to share to our viewers right now that you may not have said here on our stream or on air? Tell us what else is in here.
Well, I think really what the ultimate point of the article was is that the potential loser of this fight between Cornyn and Paxton is not either of them, it's the Democrats, because each is trying to show how hard they can hit the Democrats during this quorum break. And right now, Democrats are still out of the state. Many of them are in Illinois. They're still trying to withhold these attacks, even as arrest warrants have been filed. A suit that Paxton actually filed trying to get those arrest warrants to be valid in other states did not go through in Illinois most recently. Not likely to go through in any of the other cases, but still, each of these lawmakers are trying to hit Democrats the hardest. And so at the end of the day, you have to see this as a loss for the Democrats because they're just, the punching bag in this political fight, this political proxy war for the U.S. Senate race.
And moving back to the quorum topic, you just mentioned that Democrats are still out of the state. What do you think is the next step, or what do you think is going to happen next with that quorum break? Is it going to end? Do you think it'll be this weekend? What do you think?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I mean, you saw some reporting that the Democrats may be coming back. They're saying they haven't really made any decisions yet. What we do know is that House Speaker Dustin Burrows said from the dais the other day that if Democrats do not return by tomorrow, by Friday, that he would actually adjourn this special session. He would sine die, meaning that the special session would end. But that means that the governor would immediately call a new special session to sort of restart the clock, allow lawmakers to get a fresh start on all of this. Redistricting is not going away. Governor Abbott has said he's going to continue to call special sessions. So the Democrats may not come back this weekend. They may not come back next week. But Abbott has already said that they're going to have to stay away for years if they want to stop this redistricting map from going through. Democrats, of course, are still saying we will come back if you make flood relief and flood legislation the priority in the House. Republicans have not said whether or not they will do that, but if this session's any indication, they're probably going to keep trying to push through this redistricting, meaning Democrats, at least for now, seem to be planning to stay away. But again, it's a very fluid situation and things could change.
Yeah, and we know that it's kind of difficult for a lot of these Democrats to continue staying away. Lots of them have families, jobs that they have been away from. So it's up in the air, and we will see what happens. And of course, here at KXAN, we will continue reporting on the latest details. But I do want to share your article that you wrote here on our website, kxan.com. It's on the homepage right now, and you can find it. The title is How the Quorum Break Became a Proxy War for the GOP U.S. Senate Primary. All of the details that we just discussed are in this article. Thank you, Ford, for writing this and sharing this on our website. Again, thank you for joining me here on KXAN Plus. This insight was very helpful, and I'm sure lots of our viewers enjoyed it as well. And we will see you soon. It's your last day, right?
It's my last day.
So we won't see you soon, but we wish you the best of luck, and thank you for working here with us throughout your internship.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
See you on air soon.